Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Today MQTT Mosquitto Broker Part 4. How to install Mosquitto MQTT Broker on virtual plugin server in the cloud. So today what we're gonna need a VPS server account, so you can use any provider. I'm using linode, Akamai linode. You can use any different one, just make sure, check what is the pricing, check the reviews, how good it is, and what you can have in the price. Basically, the advantage of linode is, for me, once I finish this tutorial, I will just delete and pay for just the time what I was using it. So it's pretty cheap for me to use it for this tutorial. So next thing, I will use my domain name. In the last video tutorial I was using this mqtts.info, the local domain, but I use this domain because I bought it before I start doing the tutorial. I just didn't assign the DNS records for it, so I assigned DNS record for it on my local DNS server, which is Raspberry Pi. In this tutorial I will be using assign it to the real DNS server, so I will be connecting, instead of IP address, I will be using the domain name because it's already propagated and it's fully working. So next thing, how to create your linode. So basically, once you set up your account, just bear in mind you should have £100 $100 free on your account, so just check this out and make sure you won't have to pay for it. You can use it. I think that $100 is for only 2 months or something like this. I can't remember, I'm not sure. I done my linode like over 2 years ago, so I haven't got this bonus anymore. So first, we're gonna use the image. So I'm using Ubuntu 2204 LTS. You can use probably any of this. You can use 20, maybe even 18. It's depreciated, but I think it still work. I'm using 2204 anyway. Next, you need to pick the region. Basically, I use London because I live in London, so it's nearest to me. This is common practice. Usually you pick the nearest one to you. But for example, this linode, if you install only MQTT, you will have lots of resources left, so you can install a VPN server. So for example, you can install on one of the US location, and then basically you can stream the video content from US and don't pay for it. For example, some TV series. Next, I will be using shared CPU because it's the cheapest one. You don't need anything else than this option, which is one core and 1 GB of RAM. Then you have 25 GB of storage, so it will be a lot left as well. It's probably more than 15 GB, so you can possibly install Nextcloud as well on it. It's up to you what you're gonna do with the rest. So basically, next, linode label. You can put any label. I put my MQTTS info domain name, so I can see straight away which one it is. You have to type your password. You can add your SSH key, but I won't be doing this. Basically, we will do it on when I'm securing our server, so you will see how to do it as well. You don't have to attach the VLANs. Now, backups. This is good stuff. You don't have to do it, but once you have backups, you can create your backups and then go back to your backups. So it's nice to have it, but costs you £2 per month. So, and then once you fill those, what I show you, you basically tap this button, create linode, and it should start. So basically I got one already started. I have to start it before because I have to assign DNS re-entry for the domain, so I need that IP address, and sometimes take a while before it gets propagated. So I done it yesterday. Today is up and running. So don't forget, if you buy your domain name and you try to assign, it may take 5 minutes. Usually take about 5 minutes, but yesterday for some reason take me a lot longer, so I leave it for today. Again, you don't have to use the domain name. You can use the IP address, and make sure you won't use the you will have to use the insecure option if you using Python, for example, or if using Node-RED, you have to tick the you have to untick this verify server certificate, as I speak in the last video. So okay, my server is up and running. I got prepare a text file which I gonna just copy and paste to my terminal window. So just be aware, you can download this, you will be able to download this text file from my website, and if you want to use it, just make sure you change this part for your part, whatever it is. If you don't have the domain, you want to use the IP address of your server, I mean this one. So just paste it instead of my domain name. So let me go to my terminal window. I'm already logged in. So okay, first thing, we need to do the updates. I already done the updates yesterday when I started first, so it's nothing to update, to upgrade. Next, set the time zone. I'm in London. You can check the date, but it already shows us. Okay, you should change your host name as well to match your domain name if you've got one. And then update your system host files as well. And add the line. Save and exit. Okay, again, I'm using my domain name and my server address, this one. So adjust to your needs. Do the as your server got one. So next thing, add a user. Now we log it as a root. You should be logged as a root. Root user is only for certain things which you have to be logged as a root. Usually you're not supposed to use a root for all this stuff which you're doing on your server. So we need to first, you remember in last tutorial we started on normal hardware, and basically usually when you start on your normal hardware, Ubuntu comes with user, but you haven't got root access. You have to enable root access. When usually on VPS servers you have other way around. You always have root access in the beginning, but then if you need a normal user, you have to add a normal user. So we will have to add the normal user. So I'm adding custom username. You basically need to change for whatever you want to have. My username is custom. Type the password. Retype. This one I'm gonna leave blank. Okay, next thing, you have to add this user to the sudo group, so you can do as a root with sudo in the front. Now we need to exit this window. We need to exit the root and log as a new user, in my case custom user. So we log it as a custom user, non-root user. So next thing, install a Mosquitto Broker. So okay, we got installed Mosquitto Broker. If you have backup, I will say it's good to have a backup right now and name it. You have it in, so say I got the backup service. I can say I can name my next snapshot. So usually I will say start and MQTT, for example, the name on the snapshot. So I know I just start the server and I installed my Mosquitto Broker, but basically without any settings. So, and you just click this button, take the snapshot. I'm not gonna do this because it doesn't really matter in this case. But basically, if you take this snapshot, previous snapshot will disappear. So be aware of this. You can have few different snapshots. You can have the only latest one. So I will leave it like this. Basically, in my next tutorial I will be using Let's Encrypt certificates. So I want to go back to the start. So I don't want to do the snapshot right now. So what we're gonna do next? Next, we need to log to our certificate server, the one what we create our certificates in a previous tutorial, and transfer those certificate files to our VPS server. So basically, I will be transferred as a root user and to my domain name server. So you need to replace this. Keep the root, it's okay, but replace the MQTT SSL info domain name for your one. Same on this two as well. So let me copy this one. I'm already logged in. I'm already in the directory. You have to be in this directory what you create to create the certificates. Type yes. You have to type it. And it's done. So those two as well. Okay, I can I can close this window now. We don't need it anymore. You can also do this. You can technically unplug and forget that pi, but maybe not yet, because if something goes wrong when you was trying to transfer and maybe you have to go to your backup again, then also before you finish completely, maybe don't do it yet. keep it up and running. Up to you, basically. Okay, so next we have to go back to our broker and do the permissions for those files. Basically, some tutorials say good to instead of using chmod for file permission, use the chown. I try to use chown and Mosquitto user, but I couldn't make it work. Nonstop was showing me the broker doesn't want to start, failed to start. I was trying to use chown and the chmod with different permissions. It didn't work, so I end up with only this. This is the smallest permission as you can give for these files, 555, which means you can read and execute by the user, by the group, and by all the rest, which maybe some guys will say it's probably not the best, but I couldn't do any different. It's nonstop was showing me the broker failed to start. So this is the smallest permission as I found. So if you guys know how to do it, maybe some of you will find out. Please let me know let us know in the comment below. I will do it this way. Not a big deal in my opinion again. So okay, we got our files in our directories. Next, change the config file, modify the config file. We're gonna need to add those lines. As you remember on our tutorial, is the same. You're probably gonna ask me why I'm adding the line with 1122 port, but I'll show you in a minute. So restart Mosquitto. Okay, and this is the important part. When you're restarting Mosquitto after this, uploading the files and changing the permission, if it goes straight away like this, then more than likely we're good to go. Status. Okay, so let's go to Node-RED. We got both connected. So probably some of you guys may wondering why this one is connected. It should be on local network, because the VPS server, what we did, it came fully open to the world. So basically now we have it working with our TLS certificates, and basically what we need to do next, we need to finish securing our server. We go through all the steps. We perform the updates, we done this, and then now I stop. One second before this step. Why I stop? Because we're gonna be adding the key pair, we're gonna be changing the port, and so on. So basically, I'm using very simple command to transfer the files. These commands, if I change the port, if I add the key, it will be far more awkward to do it. So I prefer to do it before this next steps. So it's far easier basically. So okay, next, as in previous tutorial, we should do the required certificate as well and check do our client certificates are working. I'm pretty sure it's working because I can't see any different why not. So I'm not gonna go through the steps. Basically using my text file, so when you go back to it, you will know what to do next. So at this point, it's good to back up server again, because when you're gonna start uploading new keys, changing the firewall and stuff like that, something may give you trouble and you will like to go back to this moment when your MQTT Broker is fully working. So do your backup if you can. And then go to secure your server. This is very important part. Don't forget this VPS server is open to the world right now, fully open practically. So it is very important to do it. So you make sure no one hack the server. So okay, first thing what we're gonna do, we're gonna upload our key pair. Create and upload to our server. So without that key, no one else can get into the server, to your SSH connection. So creating, if you're on Windows, use this command to create your key pair. Basically be careful, because if you've done it before, you will overwrite your existing one. And if you have that key for different servers, you basically will lock out yourself from those other servers. So only do it if you haven't got one. So that's how it is. Okay, next thing, go to our server and paste this command. Then use this command to upload your key from your computer, desktop computer. Type the password. You can close now. Now paste this command in your server machine. Basically this first command creates the directory which you store your key, and then this command setting up permission to use. Okay, next thing, modify SSH daemon options. So basically we will modify the SSH for different values. So okay, for example, default port to access SSH is 22. Very common practice, change that 22 for whichever you want. Almost basically use the port which is not used by another application on your server. So you got over 65,000 ports to pick. I'm not gonna change this port because this is just a training video. Then change the address family to inet, which makes you can connect to SSH via IPv4 protocol only. Next, permit root login to no. Right now we got 2 years, so you can log to as a root user. Once you do this, you wouldn't be able to log to your server using root. Next, password authentication no. So basically we're gonna be not gonna using the password, we're gonna be using the key which we just uploaded, the SSH key, which is far more secure option. When you create that key, when you're creating this key, it will ask you to put the passphrase or password. So you can add that password, you don't have to add it. Basically this key is only one on the world, so without the password it's pretty secure, but everybody usually recommended to add the password as well. Also, if you haven't got the password and you got this public key enable, you wouldn't also attempt to log to your server via SSH. You wouldn't have to type anything, you will just log in without any password, nothing. And it's pretty more secure than using the passwords. So I'm not gonna go through this one, changing these lines. Let me just go to config file and show you which lines. So go down, this one, you can uncomment this and change it. If you leave it, then basically it will stay. Address family, inet instead of any. Permit root login for now. Password authentication, no. So I'm not gonna change anything. It will be easier to continue with the tutorial. So okay, next thing, as I says, right now on Node-RED we got both working. Unencrypted with anonymous access, actually both anonymous access. So but this one is unencrypted, this one is encrypted. So basically on our local network, if you install it on your hardware in your home, for example, you could open 1122 port and have encrypted connection from outside. You could have this one on your local network only. Right now they both working because basically our VPS server haven't got firewall, any firewall right now. All the ports are fully open. So next thing what we need to do is to install a firewall. Let me go down. You can have different firewalls. This NFT tables or firewall D or UFW. UFW is probably most common one. I always use UFW, I never use those two. This one I think give you more functionality, but it's more difficult to do it. So I'm gonna be using UFW. This two websites address I will leave down in the description below, so you can access them anytime. So okay, we're gonna have to install the UFW first. So let's go do it. It looks like it was already installed. I didn't install it before, but comes pre-installed. Looks like it. I think on a normal Ubuntu server, if you install it on Raspberry Pi, it's not installed. But because this is VPS server, they got slightly different system to boot from, so they probably done it already. Okay, next thing, set default rules. Right now is no rules, so what we have to do, we have to enable outgoing traffic. So all our outgoing traffic from the server will go to the public internet. And also we have to deny all incoming traffic. Also I do this, technically it will be lockout. But before I restart the UFW, it won't take effect. So we can do all our firewall rules and keep the connection until we enable the firewall and restart the server. Once we restart the server and the firewall enable, it will take effect then. So let me do these commands. As you can see, be sure to update your rules accordingly to make sure you still got access to your server. So basically you can type sudo usw allow ssh. What that means, it will open the port 22 because that's the default port. If you change in that SSH config file, if you change the port for different, say 171 for example, then basically you can't use this. You will have to put sudo usw allow 171 and then /tcp. Why TCP? Because you don't want to open all the entry, all the port for UDP traffic as well. You don't need that. SSH is only TCP traffic, so you just need to do to open the port and TCP on it. So let me do this one. Later, what you can do, you can remove this rule v6, because this rule is for IPv6 traffic. So what you can do, I show you later. Okay, next we need to open the port for our MQTT broker. Our MQTT broker is a TCP connection, and our port was 1124. So basically this is what I'm gonna do. And again, show me IPv6. We don't need that either. Next, sudo usw status. You can use this command to see what rules you got on your firewall. Well, is inactive because I didn't enable, so let me enable first. Yes. Firewall is active on enabled on system startup. So technically we need to restart the whole server, I think. Then it will take fully effect. Okay, let me go and do the status again. And we got our rules. So we got our SSH port, TCP, our MQTT broker port, 1124 TCP, and v6. Okay, like I said, we don't really need this one, so what I can do, I can put status numbered, and now we got our rules numbered. So we don't need this too, so we can delay them. Rule v6 deleted. So let me go status again. We don't have this rule. Let's try to remember each time you, if I delete rule number 1 first, then you have to check the status number again, because you may delete this rule next. What's gonna happen? If I delete this 22 TCP, then this rule will become number 1, so it will shift. So make sure you always do status number at first to see which rule you want to remove, because the numbers will change. I done it from the bottom, so it can't shift. But if you done it, if you got 20 rules and you done one middle one, the numbers will change a lot. So remember this one. Okay, next thing. Technically, I can ping my server right now. So this is what hackers do, trying to ping the various servers randomly. So they can make pings, say maybe 100 servers per second even, and they're looking for one which respond. And basically, good technique is to disable the ping. So your server doesn't respond to the ping. So what you can do, you can modify this UFW before rules file and add this line, and it will stop responding to the ping. So let me go there. Scroll down, and there you go. This is the one, I think. Yep. So create. Save and exit. So now we can restart our server. So let me do it, and then I'm gonna try to ping my server and have a look what's happened, and then we'll try to log back in. So okay, my server is already restarted. I just checked a second ago. It takes probably 2 to 5 minutes. So what I would like to do, I would like to log into it first. So now it's asking me for a passphrase for my key. Basically, I got a passphrase for my key. So let me type it. And I'm in. If you don't put that passphrase, basically wouldn't ask you, it will just go through to this line and you'll be logged in. Okay, next thing, let me try to ping the server right now. So it's attempting to ping and no response. Okay, let me close this window. So we're all good. Okay, if something goes wrong, you can't log in. So what could be a reason why you can't log in? In the first place, maybe you didn't adjust your UFW firewall properly, or maybe when you change your SSH config file, maybe you didn't do it right. So easy way, just go to your cloud manager, click this button, and whatever is wrong, you can just log in and then check your SSH config, check your keys, check your UFW settings, and if you find what was wrong, just correct it and you should be good to go. So I like to do one more thing. Very important as well, install automatic updates. Basically your server right now wouldn't do automatic updates, so you will be able, you will have to log it in and do your updates every few days, for example. So what you can do, you can enable automatic updates using this command. Looks like they was installed as well, so it's okay. Okay, next, type this, paste this line as well, which is configuration for your automatic updates. Basically, you will set your priority. So low means only low. Some updates, when you update the server, make use a lot of trouble. You may have to repair your server after those updates, but low means only the updates which doesn't doesn't affect your server so much. So it's set to low. Basically, you wouldn't have all the updates automatically done. You will have to log to your server from time to time, say every week, once per week, or maybe if you can more often. So I got this kind of settings. You can try different settings. You can do your research how to use it. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff on the online. Oh, sorry. Maybe I need to do this sudo. Yes. Okay. So type it's yes market. Press enter, and you should be good to go. So okay. We done whatever we can on our server using terminal window, using SSH connection. What else you can do? You can go, okay, let me explain this piece. Analytics. Basically, once you log into your linode, you can see what's going on your server. If you see something strange, right now we got usage maximum was 3%, so it's like not a lot. If you see 50%, and then it's something wrong. It is a chance someone break into your server, or maybe it doesn't mean that. Don't panic. Maybe something goes wrong with your software. So check this stuff. Check your network usage as well. So you can go next to the network. You can check your network usage. You got, this is what is remaining. Basically, you're getting 2 terabytes of usage with this linode. Anything above 2 terabytes, you have to pay extra. But I never use more than 1% on my VPS server, so I think that's pretty lot. Okay, next thing, we can edit reverse DNS. You don't have to do this in this case, but if you want to, if you run something else, for example, maybe you like to run this Nextcloud. I recommend to do this for Nextcloud. So instead of this, you just type your domain name. So, okay, if my domain name is fully propagated. This is good handy sometimes to check do your domain is propagated with the world DNS servers, because once you click save, like now, it's now successfully updated. Basically, this service is checking do that domain is propagated. If it's not propagated yet, it will give you an error, and you wouldn't be able to do this. So it's a possibly handy tool as well sometimes. I used it yesterday because I was trying to assign my domain name for like an hour, and it didn't work, and it was showing me the error non-stop. So yesterday was handy. Storage. You go to storage. You can add some volume as well. Configurations. Add never go to this. This is more advanced option. Backups. So now good to have your backup because we just finished our server installation. So I will say MQTT working. Take a snapshot, and just in case something goes wrong, you can restore it to it. You can use this snapshot to create another server as well, or replicate, or deploy new linode with it. So they're pretty handy as well. You got another functionality like images, but it's not this is not for this tutorial. I'm pretty sure you can find about. I think you can search Learn Linux TV with Jay Lacroix, and I'm pretty sure he talked about this one as well. And this guy is very good. Activity feed. So who was logged and what was going on, what have been done. And now this is quite good stuff. You can get your notifications. So say our server, if you're running MQTT Broker and you got say 10 clients, maybe 20, I don't believe you need to say, what I will do, I will just drop it to 10%. So if it's using more than 10%, you will get notification. Basically, best to check your analytics first, connect all your clients, check this, how much you're using normally, and then update these settings accordingly. And then you will have a good idea, you will have notification if something goes over. So it will ring a bell, something is wrong with my server. This could be pretty handy functionality as well. So I think this is all for today's video. I hope you enjoy it. Like I says, all this tutorials websites will be in my description below. The text file you will find on my website. So I think this is all for today's tutorial. Thank you for watching and see you in next tutorial.